What's good, DMV Sports Zone? It's Noah. I know it's been a long time, but finally have some time to come back onto the channel and let's start talking a little bit more about the Washington Capitals. Shout out to Evan for holding the fort down, but now we're around the third. We're just a couple weeks away from the All-Star break, so we're a little bit before the halfway point of the season, but there's been a lot of interesting things with the Capitals. Before I get too much into it, we're going to have to break this down a little bit. I think the main thing we talk about right now is, Ovechkin's historic season. How are the Capitals doing overall? Any notable rookies, any notable new players, and then what I think is going to happen in the next couple of weeks for the Washington Capitals. So before we get into that again, all my fantasy sports data comes from Sport AI, the mobile app integrated with artificial intelligence that optimizes your fantasy sports lineups. If you want to download the app and win your fantasy league, we had a great football season. Links in the bio. So without further ado, let's get started. So first things first, where are the Capitals in the standings? I think we're kind of getting spoiled, man, because a lot of people predicted that the Capitals would take a step back. Tom Wilson, Backstrom, Oshie were not healthy to start the season. So a lot of people thought, hey, we got some new guys, totally new goaltenders, and Darcy Kemper, and Charlie Lindgren. However, we still are third in the Metropolitan. 23, 14, and 6, not a bad record at all. Again, we're so used to excellence for the Capitals. The only DC sports team that really has done anything in the past 10 years. They're still doing great things, but this identity of the team is a lot different. I think the past couple of seasons, we have become more of a well-balanced team. Yes, has not translated to playoff success, but don't get me wrong, we've taken the right step forward. Most notably, we're trying to see, can we get one more ring in the prime of Alex Ovechkin, the ageless wonder, the LeBron of ice hockey. Ovechkin's still doing great things, despite being over 36 years old. He's number 2 all-time in goals now. This past season, as I predicted last year, I knew he was going to get to this point. 800 career goals, top 2 all-time in goal scoring now. 29 goals in 43 games is outstanding. I think he's no doubt he's going to break Gretzky's record, as he's definitely going to be playing at a high level for at least another 2 to 3 more seasons. That being said, 2 or 3 more seasons isn't a big window. So what are the Capitals really doing? I think that they're trying to stay relevant and hope they can get that final piece. Because right now, it's very obvious that they do need that. Outside of Ovechkin, they brought in Dylan Strome, a young center. Backstrom wasn't going to be healthy. Strome, a natural playmaker, former lottery pick. He ended up being a decent player in the NHL. As a result, I think he was a great addition. I was very excited to see him come in. And he has 31 points in 43 games. Not lights out or anything, but he is top 5 in scoring on the team. More importantly, Evgeny Kuznetsov is making a big comeback. He did have a pretty down year for his standards last year. He has 36 points right now. So just under a point per game pace as the number 2 scorer. So bringing in Strome has really helped. In terms of the other new guys, Erik Gustafsson. I already knew from his time in Philly and Chicago. This guy's always been a great offensive-minded defender. But the question always was, could he play defense? That's why he's been rotating around so many teams in the league. In this case, he's been a great second option with Orlov, and now with Carlson having a ton of injury problems, he's going to be probably out for at least the next couple of months for that face injury. Gustafsson came in as the number 1 power play quarterback with Ovechkin, so that's an excellent choice to me. Gustafsson is a natural, obviously a natural left-handed defender on the left side. He's got a cannon of a shot. He's a decent passer, but he's mainly almost like a forward back there. But his defense has been terrible. This franchise has been through Mike Green. So we know what bad defense is like, as much of an offensive juggernaut as he was. But Gustafsson has really improved. I think he realized as a veteran player that he needs to be more of a two-way presence, can't just be the offensive guy anymore. And he really stepped in that role. He plays around 20 minutes a game. He's obviously in top power play time, except now we're starting to see him a little bit on the penalty kill. We're starting to see him do some decent things, especially with Martin Fervery and Carlson. Again, like I said, tons of injuries in this Capitals team. They've really stepped it up. And I think that shows you how well run this organization is to have sustained excellence. I know Capitals, we only got, quote unquote, only got 1 cup during Ovechkin's tenure here with the Capitals, and we're trying to win another one. But the reality is that we have made the playoffs 9 of the past 10 years. We don't miss playoffs that often in the tenure of Ovechkin. We have sustained excellence, and you can see we have dealing a lot of injuries. Backstrom's 35 years old, man. He's getting towards the end of his career. Holtby's already retired from the NHL. Tom Wilson's getting towards the end of his career. TJ Oshie, a lot of our favorite players growing up are trying to retire. or getting to the end of their career, and we're still staying excellence. And you can see that a lot of guys stepping up. Marcus Johansson coming back last year. He's been a decent depth addition. Connor Sheary's doing pretty well. But the main thing is that people are just filling in holes. No Wilson, no Backstrom, no problem. We got Strome right into that role for Backstrom, the playmaker, the number one center. Kuznetsov coming in to play that hybrid role as well. And Eric Gustafsson coming right for John Carlson, right? A quick replacement. He's a good offensive defenseman. Of course, he's not all perfect. I really am disappointed with Anthony Mantha. He was supposed to be that big acquisition from Detroit, but we should have known if it's such a young player that was drafted as high as him, was given up so easily, almost so easily in my opinion, to the Capitals. We knew that there were a lot of red flags. Unfortunately, he's just looking like at best he's going to be a third-line energy power forward guy. Second power play unit. Stats aren't that great this year. He's still around 25 points in 43 games. Only 9 goals as a guy who's a power forward. He's not a playmaker. So very, very disappointed in this season so far. Looking like he may be a failed experiment. People thought maybe, hey, he could be like that Mike Knuble, that physical presence of Ovi, but he's not the case. That's not the case. That's more of an Oshie role. Matthews is a good depth guy. Connor Sheary is the guy that has really stepped up, and that's a guy I believe in even since last year. He's only 5'8", but he's a fast sniper. He's a natural goal scorer. I knew that he could have a place in this Capitals top 6. He's really proven himself this year. So even with Wilson back, Connor Sheary has a strong hold on a top line opportunity, particularly with Backstrom and Wilson just slowly coming back. They just made their debuts 2 nights ago. So very excited to see that. I think the main thing we now got to talk about is the goaltending as well. We have a whole new cast of guys, Charlie Lindgren and Darcy Kemper. Obviously, Darcy Kemper, Stanley Cup experience, the Stanley Cup winning goalie, starting goalie for the Colorado Avalanche last year. The Colorado Avalanche are well on their way to becoming a dynasty. So he has that winning experience. He's a good goalie, and you can see that with the Capitals. And that's the thing. We have a good record despite having a lot of injuries and also not having too many scorers besides Ovechkin. Everyone else, like I mentioned, Sheary, Kuzi, they're decent scorers, but not anything elite. A big part of why we're doing so well is our defenseman is stepping up. Like I said, Gustafsson is an offensive presence, but he's also improved his defense. Furby's been injured, but we had Nicholas Jensen stepping up, Dmitry Orlov. John Carlson, when healthy, was a huge addition as well, obviously. But the goaltending has been on point. Goals against average at 2.42 and over 92% save percentage is excellent, especially in this league where the goaltending is actually hard to come by. Elite goaltending is extremely hard to come by. So Darcy Kemper was a big addition. He was a Stanley Cup winning goalie, and if the Capitals won't have any hope of making a deep run in the next couple of years, they need Darcy Kemper. Charlie Lindgren was a pleasant surprise. He's been mostly a journeyman. He was in the minor leagues for a long time, Toronto Maple Leafs organization. He just got his cup of coffee in the league a couple of years ago. And I was surprised, coming out of training camp, like, hey, he's the number 2 guy. He's really established his footing as the number 2 guy. There are a lot of other questions we talked about last year. Would Zach Fucale get a minute? Would Zach Fucale get a chance? Obviously, we moved on from both. Vita Vanacek, who's on the Devils now, and Ilya Samsonov, who's on the Maple Leafs. So, surprisingly, neither guy was our answer. We chose instead, we're going to win now. We got to get a veteran goaltender. So, even Lindgren is on the older side at 28 years old. He's still he himself is a veteran backup. He played really well when Kemper went down. 2.6 goals against average, 91.2 save percentage. Really, really solid numbers overall. And that's a big part, is our goaltending has been the most stable it's been for a long time. And I like the direction McLennan's going with his organization. I'm really liking the Capitals are not afraid, unlike the Commanders. You see all my rants in the live streams recently. The Capitals are a well-thought-out organization. They're not afraid to take risks. They know that this is a win-now scenario with this current core. Like I mentioned, Ovechkin, Backstrom, Oshie, Carlson, all past the age of 33 years old. We only have 2 or 3 more years of a window to have any chance in a deep run in the playoffs. So we got to, forget about the young guys. Vita Vanacek, Samsonov, it's clear. Vanacek, we may regret. He's been pretty well in New Jersey, but ultimately we have to make a decision. We need a veteran goaltender. What a better way to get in free agency? Darcy Kemper, Stanley Cup winning goalie, Lindgren, a great backup. So in terms of what does that mean for the future of the Capitals for the rest of this season, the next couple of weeks? Well, first of all, we're going to be talking about it week by week, or at least in a bi-weekly rate. Definitely want to talk about it and continue to revive this Capitals series. But in my thoughts, the Capitals are going to continue to be a top 3 team in the Metropolitan. They're going to really build. I think they're going to even level up even further. Like I said, Backstrom, Wilson making their season debuts 2 nights ago. Kemper finally back healthy. And then John Carlson coming off IR in 2 to 3 months, hopefully. That's going to add a lot of reinforcements to the offensive side of the puck. and we already have a decent defense. The X factor obviously is, can we keep Lars Eller, Mojo? Can they keep being those depth guys? They've year in year out they're like 20 to 40 point guys. But if they step through in the playoffs with that 40-point ability, that's like really, really good third, fourth line. I mean, you got a lot of good guys. And I mean, Nick Dow is another guy that nobody really talks about. That does really well as well. Nicholas Jensen, a lot of these unsung heroes. Can they step up and provide the depth? Anthony Mantha's always going to be X factor as well. I think Anthony Mantha, unfortunately, is not the talent, the guy that was Detroit have him believe. We really thought he could be the next great power forward, and unfortunately he's not that, but there's times where he can get streaky and get hot. We're going to need that, especially to balance those lines out. Like I said, Kuznetsov's having a comeback season. Ovechkin's always been great. Strome is a great new addition as well, but can everyone else around them really build? I think this is a very balanced Capitals team, and it's not as star-heavy as it once was before Prime Ovechkin, Prime Backstrom, Alexander Semin, Mike Green. Well, we saw what won, and we saw what won. What did win it? What did help us win the cup? It was depth, it was excellent defense, and it was decent goaltending. It was decent goaltending, obviously great goaltending from Holtby. We're going to need that again. Darcy Kemper, I truly believe, can be a Holtby type. Is he prime Holtby? Is he a Vezina finalist? No. But he's a borderline all-star goalie that is proven this year that even with a rougher situation that he can still do pretty good. Because the Metropolitan Division is pretty tough this year. We got Carolina, Pittsburgh, New York. I mean, these are guys that are year in, year out elite teams. And even then, we've been able to stay competitive. We face them quite often. Kemper does well against good competition, bad competition. He's not a streaky guy so far. Let's knock on some wood here. But overall, promising future for the team. And that pretty much wraps up the thoughts in a nice little quick video, but there's a lot that we went over. The milestone Ovechkin is great, and everybody knows about that. But what about the unsung guys? Eric Gustafsson, Darcy Kemper, Charlie Lindgren, Connor Sheary, all these guys are going to, they've held down the fort. With the reinforcements like Backstrom and Wilson back, we'll see what happens. But I'm very excited for the future. I have the Capitals staying in the top 3 of the Metropolitan for at least the next couple of weeks. And in terms of the final season predictions, we'll see. But I have confidence that they'll finish in the top 3. I think they could sneak up the top 2. I think they can get past Carolina. The only teams that I know, without a doubt, I think are superior teams in the standings right now, New York Rangers or just something else. There's such a balanced attack. Really hard to, fight against that. The the New Jersey Devils, speaking a bit of Vanacek, great balance. Nico Hershier was looking like a bust, now looking like an elite player. I know Carolina will be really hard to catch. But we are only 4 games back to Carolina. There's a lot of games in a season for hockey, so they could slip up. I have the Capitals staying in the top 3 at minimum. I think they have the potential to go up top 2 with this healthy roster, but that's pretty much the recap on the Capitals as we head into the All-Star break in a couple weeks. So we're going to be doing these videos on a bi-weekly or maybe weekly basis. Going to have to see what you guys think and what you guys are feeling, but ultimately excited to be back on the channel and talk more about my favorite team, the Washington Capitals. I loved them growing up, and obviously as a hockey guy first before football, if you didn't know, really, really appreciate the game. So again, it's Noah. Really appreciate you guys making it to the end of the video. Remember, comment, like, and subscribe. Really appreciate that. DMVSportsZone, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you want to do. And yeah, let's go Caps. Consistently the best team in DC for the past 10 years, probably of all time. I'm a big Cavs fan, so let's see if my takes are true going forward. With that being said, have a great day. Peace.